I want to say a few things before we start. So, first thing, I think if you took this class to its most bare bones, what is it really? It's really just learning how to be in a contemplative state without meditating. That's all. So if you guys remember, contemplative state is present with God without thinking about God. Right? That's the highest state of prayer. So, present with the world without thinking about the world. Present with the circle without thinking about the circle. And this is eyes open. We practice this with eyes open. If you're the type with a busy mind, eyes open will make it easier because your brain can't feed you images. So eyes open immediately cuts out images. Why don't you relax your eyes and rest them on a single point. Just a bit of color in the carpet or something where you can relax your vision, slightly unfocus your eyes even. And you're just allowing that process that happens during your meditation to happen now, which is the gradual quieting of your mind from the thoughts you've been having in the day. It takes a very relaxed but highly present kind of effort to just stay in the room. Just waiting for the inner movements to still, the emotional and mental residue. To still. quality of sensation in your body. You can notice that you have hands. And you can bring your attention into your hands. And you can feel inside of them. Notice that you have feet. Notice the quality of attention. Sensation in your feet. That you have a head. And let go of all the tension in your neck. So that your head is just resting on the top of your spine. Every time that you exhale, let every exhale be a refocusing, coming back to center, coming back to present. Your eyes are open now. You just begin to include the environment in your awareness. Notice the floor below you. Notice how it spreads out. The color of it. Notice the walls. And the ceiling. And allow your attention to spread to fill the entire room all at once. Feel the shape of the room. Are relaxed, and even though they're fixed upon a single point, you can pay attention to things in the periphery of your vision. You can notice them without looking straight at them. Can spread out to include everything in your field of vision. don't go back into thinking mind, but you can adjust your body in whatever way you need to. But if you do that, then still be very present. Just want it to deepen over the course of the hour. Now, the eyes open for this is really essential. I'm seeing a lot of closed eyes. Might as well not come if you don't do what I'm teaching. Also, you're keeping others from finding it if you don't find it with me. We're supposed to be together on this bus. So the eyes open there's a reason. If you always close your eyes when you meditate, then it's a vastly different experience to be able to meditate with your eyes open walking around. So eyes open, using the environment as your focus of attention. And for me, just the state I'm trying to bring you into that I'm in now, profoundly alert, profoundly awake, extremely present, here in this space. Completely settled in this room. Using the environment as your focus of attention. Eyes relaxed. Soft gaze on one particular point. But aware of the entire visual landscape. You'll notice a cloudiness that leaves your eyes and a clarity that sets in. Profoundly awake. Now just imagine that there's a string and it's tied to the baby spot on the top of your head. That's just above your spine. It's towards the back a little bit of your head. And imagine that at the top of that string is a giant helium balloon. And it's pulling up on your head. And since it's slightly in the back, it even lowers your chin slightly and lengthens the back of your neck. So that your head is floating on your shoulders. Head floating. Let all the muscles in your neck relax. So much that your head might even bob just a little bit on the top of your shoulders, like it's floating in water. Can come back again from that to something casual, but also don't lose your presence, but do relax. I want to say something. When I'm shifting here, my ego self, my sinful self, says it's too much energy to get present. It's running, and it doesn't want to cut through it all and get still. But then it's lying. It doesn't take energy. It takes less energy. It's true that you have to relax and get still, but that you relax into it, you end up in a profoundly alert state that is requiring less energy of you. But your ego will say it's work. That's sloth. It's called sloth. I don't have the energy to be present. Then you can feel tired. Get still and present and find yourself profoundly awake. And all that tired was from all the work you're doing, thinking and hating and resisting and judging. Okay, we're going to do shapes. Shapes with a cosmic and microcosmic twist. So nice and still, get your head floating. And first, just you found ground, you found center, you found ground. But now include this object. In that awareness. Just notice what it's like to become present with it. So that all your attention and awareness is upon this object. And notice what it feels like in your body to pay attention to it. That it's different than sitting just with the room. Creates subtly different. It's very subtle. But it's a different experience for you to sit with this stone than it is to sit with the room. Try to hold the entire object at once in your awareness. Its shape. Notice that you can notice the inside of the object. Your attention can spread or flow into it. Notice how it feels in your feet and hands. To be present with this object. There isn't anything exceptionally mystical that there has to be about it. You're just being present with it. Notice the whole circle, noticing the stone. Include in your awareness the circle of people, noticing the stone. Think of that as one thing. The stone, the circle, the noticing. Attention be on the circle than on the stone. Bring it back to the stone. More attention on the stone than the circle. going to do contrast, okay? You know what it felt like to be with this. Now, just notice the difference. All your attention resting there. Notice how there's the subtle changes in your consciousness. It is just different to sit with this sphere than it is to sit with that semi-pyramid shaped stone. It's different to notice the texture of this stone compared to the other stone. Any color you might see. The density is different. Give you some hints for when you're doing this alone, and then we're going to do a second wave of this. Hints, okay? You go to sit under a tree and do this, and your eyes feel very tired. I know that's happening in here, it's okay. It's kind of an illusion. You're a little trained for it, right? Because you go in deep meditation that way. So it just gets heavy and you go in, gone. So you're trained for that. It's natural to you. If you feel the power, it's natural for you to go there. So you have to find this other natural place. And for me, if my eyes feel really tired, which happened today under the cherry tree, then I let them close for a minute or so and rest, and then I open them. And I'm working with waking them up. That's the intent, to come to this. My eyes feel like they're wide open. I don't think they look that way, but they feel like wide open because I'm so alert and so awake. But my eyes had to, give up on some dying, give up on some sleepiness. They had to be brought there. So what I did is, it's not a technique, it's just something I worked out over time. I let them rest because they just want to rest so bad. And if I don't let them, they just get so tired. And they want to give up. So you just let them. It's okay, you can close. And then after you give them a minute of rest, you open them again. And slowly that way you can wake them up. Does that make sense? The same with your mind, that sleepy feeling you get. You work out of it. Open eye is the best, but you can let them rest and then come back, right? Because maybe I learned this from having very sensitive to light eyes. So if I go out in the sun, it can take me sometimes 40 minutes for my eyes to adjust to the sun. If I keep them open, they don't adjust. It gets worse until I almost can't see, it's so bright. But if I let them rest and then open them and let them rest and then open them, my eyes adjust to the light. Okay, so you're trying to trick, you're working with your poor little eyes who want to sleep. And you're coming to find this profoundly alert place. You're a meditative state, a really solid one. And body awareness, hands, feet, head, body. Floating head is the most alert thing I can find. Very erect spine. Floating head is very alert. That's your foundation, that's your ground. Then you can reach out to your environment. Didn't you notice how it's totally different to sit with a sphere than it is to sit with a semi-pyramidal shaped stone? Absolutely different subjective experience, right? But we're not talking mysticism here. It could be that too, but it doesn't have to rise to mysticism, where you have some energy connection with it. There is just the experience of being present with the pyramid, and the experience of being present with that is different than the experience of being present with the sphere. It's all subjective. Yours may be nothing like mine. That's irrelevant. It just is different. These subtle cues are what the mystics are paying attention to. First of all, this state of consciousness that even allows all of this to open up, allows you to notice it. That's a person who's mystic just naturally finds all of those states. They're naturally inclined to be noticing that more than other things. But it's simple to just turn your attention right to it. And then, just if I could use you, Jill, your face when you do this looks like any mystic I've ever seen. Like your countenance, it's everyone, just using her as an example. You see people that are mystical, they're always zoning on stuff. Your face looks just like that now. It's the same place. For me, the sphere was so much clearer. It was almost a relief to have it in the center in comparison to this. I don't think that's truth. That's just my experience with it. Okay, so we're going to do a last round, okay? Good amount of time for it. Get all the way present again. We're going to stare at the stone directly. Be with it. Just allow yourself to become present with it. There's nothing to force. Head floating. Noticing your hands and feet. Now, as you're looking at this stone, just imagine that it is tiny. Smaller than a molecule. It doesn't have to shrink before your eyes. It's all perspective, isn't it? So you're looking at a tiny, tiny point of matter. Profoundly small. Smaller than an atom. Now imagine that it swells. And that it is so massive that billions of star systems could fit inside of it. Go ahead and just close your eyes and find yourself inside of that massive, millions of light years in diameter sphere. And just allow your attention and awareness to expand. And fill that space. Inconceivably large space. And try to notice the shape still. It's still a sphere. Everything in the universe that you know of is a tiny, tiny piece of something spinning inside of that sphere. Our little planet, the sun and the Milky Way, inconceivably small in comparison. shrink down again. Become smaller and smaller until you're observing it from the outside. Until it is so small that it's the smallest any physical thing can be. And you're observing it from the outside. Now just shrink down and put yourself in it, or sit with it, so that you are now that tiny. Small with it, but remember and be aware of the infinite sphere at the same time. You're this tiny little point inside of this infinite sphere. Back and get nice and casual. So, possible uses, okay? Possible uses. Nothing, I don't want to make it anything truly important. If you're listening to music, you can listen in 3D like this. You can hear the sound and be a tiny part in it. You can hold the entire event in your consciousness all at once. You can hone in on a single instrument. And you'll notice if you're in this state, the others will fade a little for you, and you'll hear this one the most. And then you can come out of that and listen to a different one. You can listen to them all at the same time. And the dancing of it. What we're working on is flexibility of consciousness. That's what we're working on. How to be flexible. If you're thinking of a problem, maybe a social problem, you can come out and hold the entire thing and all the people involved in your consciousness and be present with it. Think what that's about. Or you can hone in on one aspect. Think of it in that way. It's a way of doing inventory on what's happening. If you're in the band, you can notice the other instruments more than your own and just be playing in a band that let you sit in. This is my favorite. I like to imagine I've been invited to sit in, but they can't really hear me playing. I'm just playing with them. I like to think of it in this way. And then attention on everyone except me, or on my sound dancing with the ambient sound. It's all just attention. And it's a new way of appreciating nature. You can, just sitting under the cherry tree today on a little pillow on the grass, my back against the tree, and there's a big root. It's underground, but you can feel it. You can feel a little bump from this big fat root that's underground, and it's all of a sudden there's no dirt, and I'm sitting on this chair, which is this big fat root, and I can just experience the openness of the dirt isn't there. There's just roots, because my attention is just on the roots. So now there's no dirt, and I can feel down into the earth. And it's neat. It's a bench. I think of it as my bench. And it feels like a bench. It feels so strong, like it's the neatest bench to sit on. But you're just on this little, there's just the tiniest, slightest elevation of the grass. But you're sitting on this bench with this tree. It's just consciousness. I haven't been saying it. The reason I'm not saying it is because you guys know. So you're not opening to everything out there. Not everything out there is your friend. You are working through the filter, which is Christ. That you're working within the mystical body of Christ. And all things that you can notice in the mystical body of Christ are justly noticeable. Christ is all things, in all things, fills all things, holds all things. This is, humanity's vocation is to unite all of physical reality with the heavenly spheres in love. This is our vocation that Adam failed at, and that Jesus completed and is now holding. But he's holding it so that everyone else drops into it with him. The angelic dimensions, heaven, the Trinity, all the way down to the worms and dirt and mud and amoebas and atoms. All of that held in our consciousness, in our love. This is Christianity's view of what our job is, why we're made. And human beings sit dead center between purely physical and purely energetic. We occupy both, and it is our position in the universe to unite them in our love. And I used this example yesterday. My dad, if he watched me, I always tripped because he was casting his spell of derision and judgment and embarrassment of who I was on me. And I'd feel it. I could do something I could do any other day. If no one's looking, I'm tripping. That's a spell he's casting. Well, we're casting a spell on creation all the time. People, the world, and it's usually poisonous. And this is paying attention to what it's supposed to be like. And that creates a different energy in the room. So think of it as Catholic schema, right? Prayer, that's verbal prayer, even if you're saying it silently in your mind. It's set prayers that the church gives us that are filled with wisdom, but it's also your own spontaneous prayer, verbal prayer. The next stage up is what? It's meditation. That's thinking deeply about things, which is what we're doing here. First, we start with a general contemplative place. Let the pollution end. Then you can we didn't do anything like that tonight, but we did size. For some reason, size really matters. Really tiny and really big matters. And all the stuff in between. It's something about it. But it could have been the Trinity, couldn't it? It could have been Christ's resurrection. And it will be in other classes. But first, flexibility. Hey, go into Christ's resurrection, you could notice his heart, but you could notice it from a cosmic view, looking at it. You're not saying, this is what his hair color was. So dumb. Just, what does it mean to you in that moment? What can you notice when you notice it? the way to a contemplative view, which is just to be with something with no thought. It could be really mundane and not mystical and still meaningful, or it could be profoundly mystical. It could run any of that gambit.